Hello everyone, welcome to QA with Zahid, and today we're going to talk about how to validate file download with Nightwatch JS. It's going to be pretty cool, so let's get into it. So first we need to set up our Nightwatch project. So we can go to nightwatchjs.org. They have a quick guide on setting that up, getting started, installing Nightwatch. So we can just type out this command and it'll set up a default Nightwatch project. npm nightwatch init. And we'll give it a name called let's just say download test, right? Keep it simple. Did I type it right? Oh, sorry. npm init nightwatch download test. So it's going to create a project. So let's specify the language and runner. So JavaScript. The default, I believe, uses module exports, which is kind of being outdated. So the more standard best practice is to use Mocha. And if you're using Cucumber, that's another option. But for this test, we'll go with Mocha. Chrome, and just keep pressing enter. All right. So while that's setting up, let's look for a website that we can test against that will select a link and download a file. And then we're going to validate that file. So we can Google. So let's see. Download file. Oh, CSV test. All right. Let's click this first link here. And as you can see, there's a lot of sample files here. So for this purpose of this demo of this tutorial, sorry, we're going to choose this file because this one has the minimal number of rows for simplicity, and it's just simple. Let's see if this works. Okay, so it downloaded a file. All right, so we're going to use this for our test. So now we've created the Nightwatch project. So let's go into this directory. Download test. Okay. There are some examples that are already built in, but we're not going to run those. We're going to take a copy of the example, modify it to create that validation test for a file download. So before I proceed to do that, I'm using Visual Studio Code, by the way. That's usually the most popular code editor for JavaScript. So let's add that folder. Let's see here. Validate file download. Okay, there we go. Oh, this is my I was doing a different test with this, so I don't want this one. What's it called? Download test. That's what it is. Add folder, download test. There we go. I did a similar test, but I'm going to delete this. I want to start fresh. So, all right, here we go. So we'll call this download test. So let's create a new test. So instead of writing from scratch, we'll go into Nightwatch, which they have examples. Basic. Yeah, we'll go with this one. Just copy that, and then test. So we'll create a file. Let's say download test JS. Okay. We'll paste that here. So this is in Mocha. That describes the test suite. So validate file download test. Okay, so our first test case will be to download file. And then we need to create another one to validate the file that we downloaded. So we're going to say validate file. All right. So first thing we need to do is navigate to the website that contains the file that we can download. Okay, so this is the one I just Googled. So I'm going to take this, copy it, and then we can paste it here. So we're going to navigate to this website. And once we're here, we want to be able to click this. So now let's right click, inspect, and then grab the selector. So there's more that we can do this. This is one way of grabbing the selector. I don't like this approach because the DOM can change. So ideally you want to make it unique. So this is a huge selector. So what I like to do is find something that's unique. So I think this href is a unique link. So I'm going to copy that and do a anchor tag, search by href, and the value. So now, let's see. Something is wrong here. I might have removed it on accident. Let me copy this and refresh the browser. You can modify the DOM in the DOM in real time. So let's see here. Okay, there it is. I accidentally erased it, but this is a selector. It's one and unique, so we're going to use that. So once we navigate to this page, we're going to wait for this element to be visible. And then we don't need all this. And then we want to click on this element. And yep. So once we click, we want to wait for the file to download. So currently there isn't a way that I'm aware of to track how long it will take to download the file. So meanwhile, we can say it'll take a few seconds. I'll just put 5 just to be safe. So this test case is completed. And then once we download the file, we need to verify the file contents, right? So how do we do that? So we need to read the file. Okay. So with Nightwatch, it runs on top of Node.js, and Node.js is the server side. With Node.js, you can access files in your local machines and do other things, while Nightwatch is purely browser-based, right? So now we're going to use the Node.js function, built-in methods to access our downloaded file. So once we run this, it's going to download, and now we need to grab it. So we want it to download, let's say, on our current working directory. So in order to do that, we need to update our Chrome Google preference, Chrome Google options. So here we need to add an option where to download that file. Otherwise, it'll download in a different location. And we want to be consistent with our test long term, right? So we'll just put it here. And what is that option? So I don't remember off the top of my head. So we can just Google it. So Chrome. See, I've already Googled it before. So desired capabilities, download path, Nightwatch.js. I think I clicked on this one. So here it goes. So the old way used to be called Chrome Options. Now it's been updated to call Goog::Chrome Options. So this is the more current way as of today. So I'm going to download this. And then we're going to add this option. So prefs, short for preference, download, default directory. So we're going to download to this directory. So this directory is the current working directory. So with Node.js, I believe there's something called process CWD, Node.js. So I'm going to call this method. It's a built-in application programming interface of the process module, which is used to get the current working directory of the Node.js process. So my current working directory as of now is C user Islam download test. So basically I want this path. And the reason I want this, if someone else were to run this test, this path would be different, right? They would have a different name here, or they would be on a Mac that would give them a different path. So this is just to be consistent. So we can just copy this. and then we'll give our default directory here. So anytime we download a file, it should automatically download into the download test folder. Okay, so that's completed. And now once we download the file, we need to read the file. Okay, so how do we read the file? So before we do that, let's just run it and see what happens for the first test case, right? And so I'm going to run this in headless, only because I want to make sure I don't want to go through the prompt and everything. I just want to keep it simple and run it here. So we'll just remove the / here, keep it headless, simple. And then if this is correct, I should see that file download here. I believe this is the file name that's going to be downloaded. So here we go, npx Nightwatch. We specify our environment. In this example, it's Chrome. So -e is short for environment. And then we specify our test. So test /download test. And then here you go. Also, if you type a few characters and hit the tab, it automatically populates rest of the file name if that's unique. Otherwise, it'll give you other options, but that's just a little shortcut. So now I'm going to run this by selecting enter. It's connected to Chrome driver on this port. It's running on Windows. So it's navigating to this website, waiting for this link and clicking on it. And as you can see, the file is downloaded into this folder. Awesome, right? And with headless, if I run this again, it's not going to download a duplicate. What's going to do, it's going to overwrite the existing file because they have the same name, so which is pretty cool. But if this is without headless, it'll create another, it'll download the same file, but it'll attach a different name, like open parentheses 1, closing parentheses, because it's a duplicate name. So now this test case is completed and passing. We'll work on the second one. So we need to read this file, right? So what is the file name? So the file name is pretty consistent. So let's copy this. So let's store it into a variable so we can use it. Const file name. Oops. Here you go. Put it in quotes. Okay, well, now we have our file name. Now we need to read this file. So how do we do this? So once again, Node.js provides that functionality for us. Read file. Read file with Node.js. So there's different options. There is the read file method, there is the read file sync, and then there is the promise. So we'll just pick this option here. We'll just literally copy it, and then we can paste it here, right? I'll bring this over. Okay, so we need to specify our path. So where is this file, right? So if I do, so basically our path, so basically what this would be is this / sample CSV file 2kb.csv. This is what we want, but once again, we don't want to hard code this. That's bad practice. So we got to give it a variable, because if I run it on my machine, it'll pass. But if somebody else were to run this, it will fail. And, you know, when you're in the workforce, you got to run your test on the pipeline, and that path can differ as well. So what we do is we want the current working directory. So as I mentioned before, it's going to be process.cwd. Right, so that's going to print this, and then we need to add the file name. So we can say file name. Okay, I'm not sure if I need to add a /, but if I do, I'll run it again. Okay, so it's going to read the file, then it's going to print the data. So let's see if this works. So it's going to rerun this test suite. This is the first test case. download file, and oh, I got an error. Oh, because this is a typo. Process. Okay. Process.csv. So process is a built-in method for Node.js. Method or process, right? Yeah. So let's run that. Okay, great. Let's see here. So it's complaining because it cannot find the file name. Oh, I'm putting this as a string. So basically it's rendering like this, but in reality we want to print this, so I have to get rid of the quotes. Okay, that's my mistake. The file name is not file name, right? It's sample CSV file, right? So let's see how it goes now. So if I do it correctly, it should print the data. Okay, so I'm doing something wrong. So I did not put a slash here. So I'm gonna put, let's try this. Okay. Keep in mind on Windows, it's backslashes. On Linux and Bash, Unix, Linux, Mac, it's /. Even though I put / here, it's gonna render backslash. So let's try this. Running. Hopefully it prints the data in that file. Awesome. So as you can see, if I select this file, it prints exactly what's in here. So that means I can confirm I downloaded the file, all the contents in the file is there, and I can print that out. Now let's do some validation, right? So part of our automation test, let's validate that every time we run this test, it'll contain this text, okay? So how do we do that, right? So we can do browser.assert, right? So assert, by the way, is a Node.js built-in method where you can validate something to be true or equal. In this case, we're running assert with Nightwatch. Therefore, we say browser.assert. So if it pass or fail, the Nightwatch test will take that into consideration on the final report. Otherwise, it will be part of the Node.js process and not Nightwatch. That's why we say browser.assert. So we want to verify that it contains this. So we can use the data includes, right? Does the data includes this text? Let's copy this. Okay. So this returns a true or false. So includes, if I Google it, includes JS. The includes method of array instance determines whether an array includes a certain value among its entries, returning true or false, right? So array includes, for example, this is 1, 2, 3. Does it include 2? It returns true. Ideally, this is not an array. I mean, you would think it's not really an array. It's a string that you convert into an array, kind of. That's the cool thing about JavaScript. So based on this output, does this include this text? If it does, return true. If not, return false. So with the assert, there's a method called OK. And then OK means it passes if it returns true, and it will fail if it returns false. So if I can just copy this here. Okay. All right. So I think that's it. I'll get rid of the console log. Yeah, I don't need this. So if everything works well, it should pass. So this part here, this part here is more in the Node.js side. I'm not really interacting with Nightwatch other than this, but okay, so I'm getting an error here. So data includes if, oh, okay, I see. Data is not defined because we're using data in a callback function. So what that means is it reads the file and then returns the data into this function as a parameter, which is only accessible inside this block, right? So I'm trying to access data, which is only accessible in this block. So I need to move my code from this line inside this block. Right now I should have access to data. Okay. I spelled includes wrong. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now it should work fine. Well, let's close this. All right, so we're running the test suite. All right, awesome. Data includes, so it's passing. Okay, true. Okay. So we can, we can give it an extra message. With the okay, it returns true or false. So just to make sure, what is okay, right? So if I say assert okay Node.js, it accepts two parameters, right? Expression and message. Expression returns true or false and a message. So we just did the expression part, which is this whole thing here, which returns true. And we can give it a message. We can say verify data contains the string. Okay, let's copy this. Okay. So in our test report, we're more clear on what we're testing because this is pretty vague. It does what it's supposed to, but when we have to give a report to our boss or when we're testing and we have a lot of test cases, this is going to be kind of confusing. But now if I run it again, it's going to give us a more detailed message on what we're doing, what we're validating. So in here, validate, verify data contains this, which it does, right? Now, let's say it doesn't contain it. So we can enter like 1, 2, 3. Now it should fail because this specific text altogether does not include in this data string, right? So okay, see, now it failed. So expected true, but it returned false. So instead of this returning true, it returned false. Therefore, this failed. So this is passing and this is failing. So that's it. That's how you validate a file download in Nightwatch.js. Thank you for watching, and please remember to subscribe. And as always, if you want to see more tutorials, let me know in the comments. Thank you.